Okay, if your NFL Week 15 prediction, so I'm coming off on yet another very solid win or solid week. So your first game, the Texans versus the Dolphins. This one could be a good, sneakily good game. The Texans, their offense have been going through kind of a slump, even with Nico and Joe Mixon back. However, the Dolphins, I'm not sure how well they play against good teams. Their defense did not look good last week and hasn't really looked good this year. The Well, the Dolphins' offense has definitely looked better. I think they're going to struggle a little bit versus that good Texans defense. So Texans, especially come off a bye, I gotta take the Texans here. I think they're more well-rounded. I don't really trust the Dolphins D. Then you have the Bengals versus Titans. Titans are purely tanking right now. All the Bengals, even though their defense sucks, at least their offense is good and should get them this game. So I'm gonna take the Bengals here. Then you have the Jaguars versus the Jets. Both these teams are dumpster fire. Just take your pick. I think the Jaguars look slightly more competent than the Jets did last week. So, they have home field advantage, so I'm going to take the Jaguars. Then you have the Chiefs versus the Browns. It's going to be yet another close game. Jameis Winston will throw for a couple of touchdowns and interceptions, but it's going to be a tight game all the way through. But Chiefs with their double magic and their like better overall team, I got to take the Chiefs here. Then you have the Broncos versus the Colts. Both these teams are in playoff contention, and both these teams this win badly. But both coming off a bye. Um, I think the Broncos have a significantly better defense, and Bo Nix is playing better football than Anthony Richardson. I can't really trust that Colts offense or their defense, and I gotta take the Denver here. You have the Giants versus the Ravens. One of these teams are looking for a Super Bowl, while the other team is looking for the number one draft pick. I gotta take the Ravens here. Then you have the Chargers versus the Bucks. Surprisingly good game. The Chargers just lost against the Chiefs last week. I think the Chargers offense without McConkey, not sure if he's going to be playing this game or not. Definitely not as good without J.K. Dobbins. The Chargers offense has not looked good. Their defense has played really well, and the Buccaneers, I do think they have a very good offense and with a so-so defense. However, I think Baker's going to turn it over one too many times, and the Chargers are going to sneak one out. Then you have the Cardinals versus the Patriots. I could see this being an upset game for the Cardinals. They have not played well. Well, the Patriots with Drake May has looked really their Drake May has looked really good, but that rest of that Patriots offense and defense, for the matter, that's just not that good. And I think the Cardinals can turn it on at any moment. So I'm gonna take the Cards here. Then you have the big game of the week: the Lions versus the Bills. Based off recent performances, I think the Lions definitely have the better team. They're the more well-rounded team, even with those defensive injuries. They played really well against the Packers. While the Bills, they just let up 45, 44 points versus the Rams. Josh Allen is doing things inhuman, is doing great things, but I don't know how much I trust that Bills defense against an efficient offense like the Lions. I'm gonna take the Lions here. Um, then you have these Eagles versus the Steelers, another very good game. I just really see this game either way. I think it's gonna be defenses. It's gonna be ugly. However, I think the um, Eagles with Saquon Barkley will be able to get through a good but not great Steelers defense. So I'm gonna take the Eagles here. Then you have the Raiders versus the Falcons. For as incompetent as the Falcons have been the last like 3 4 weeks, the Raiders are looking for that number one draft pick. So I'm gonna take the Falcons here. Then you have the Niners versus the Rams on Thursday Night Football. This one could be a very good game. The Rams are coming off their best win of the season, but we know Rams are very inconsistent. The Niners, they're getting injured from hell and back. However, the Niners do play well versus the Rams, and this being on Thursday night at home, I think the Niners will take this. I don't know. It's just track history, I guess. Then with the Commanders versus the Saints, I think Derek Carr got injured and is out for this game. The rest of the Saints really isn't much better. While the Commanders are coming off a bye. I think Commanders have a very good offense that should go through that Saints defense. So I'm gonna take the Commanders here. Then you have the Panthers versus the Cowboys. The Panthers have played a lot better. Bryce Young has played a lot better. The defense is so-so. While the Cowboys, they just lost to the Bengals. They're just not a very good team on defense or on offense. I'm gonna take the Panthers here. I think they've looked much better than the Cowboys have in recent weeks. Then you have the Seahawks versus the Packers. This game, I think, is another very good game. There are a lot of good games this week. Packers are coming off a loss, however, they do have an extra 3 days. But the Seahawks, their defense has looked a lot better these last couple of weeks. Their offense still not great, and that could come back to haunt them since the Packers also have a pretty good defense. However, when it comes to offense, I think the Packers have a better offense, and I don't really trust that Seahawks D just yet. They really haven't beaten any great or great teams. They've been what, the Jets and the Cardinals, so I'm going to take the Packers here. Then you have the Bears versus the Vikings. I expect this to be a close game. The Bears are no slouch despite what happened last week. However, the Vikings, that defense is going to make it hell for Caleb out there, so I'm going to take the Vikings. So there you have my NFL Week 15 predictions.